You just want to go at it?
1, 2, 3, go.
Right. So we had this idea to talk about a raw relationship, which I think we demonstrate.
Yeah. I've never experienced anything as raw as this, and I think my background from of having like boyfriends and relationships is I might have a little more experience than you do. Let's just put it like that. And this whole thing about being so honest it takes a lot of pressure off your shoulders.
You sound a little nasally.
I am nasal. I'm still sick.
Can't you? What do you mean? You're not sick. You're just.
Alright, I'm just.
Allergenic.
I'm trying.
Can't you just clear that out? Like.
Oh, that's. No.
You can't do something like that.
Alright, go for it.
Anyways, yeah, so just to give you a little background of who we are, we're Dianiel. We met at our Radical Honesty Retreat in Albany, where I think we kind of create the most honest context you've ever been a part of. I mean, you're basically in a group of people, all of a sudden you're telling things you've never told to anyone, maybe not even yourself, and all of a sudden everyone in the room knows about it. And it creates this context of just like openness, authenticity, honest communication that is super empowering, and that's how our relationship started. So it started off with a pretty good foundation. By good, I don't mean like all lovey-dovey, I mean like we really got honest. A good feel of who each other was.
It was not good.
I mean, there were a few lies along the way of like how many people she had been with prior to me. And that one kind of hurt, but she immediately told me the truth afterwards. We still took a little we've been so conditioned to play a role that takes a little unconditioning. I think now we're at a point though where we're pretty much honest about everything.
Yeah, I wasn't used to it. That's my excuse.
Yeah, and I let it slide. Now it's not sliding anymore. But the only pressure I put on her right now is to tell the truth. That would be the main pressure, and I think we both kind of do a good job of that.
Yeah. I'm not as good as telling the little small thoughts that I consider as like to not matter, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, so we met at the Radical Honesty Retreat, then she came to my house, all of a sudden she was in my family, and these Radical Honesty Retreats are super empowering. I can't even talk enough about them. She made a best friend and a business partner out of it, Steph, RawSistahs, and then she made a boyfriend out of it. Yeah. And that was just a weekend. Now, we're going to put that fast forward a little bit. She came to my house. We continued from that context, and we just kept growing more and more with this radical honesty communication, authentic evolution, as Perzan calls it. And it really opened Pandora's box to these little thoughts that we have on an everyday basis. I kind of describe them as like when you're watching a video or editing a video, there's a main picture, but sometimes there's pictures inside those pictures, and you could have hundreds of those at any given moment. And we've started honing in on those little pictures and talking about them. And at first it was like a little abrasive and not so easy to laugh at, but the more we let them out of the box, the more they're easy to take not so seriously.
Mm-hmm. And then we went 5 weeks to Peru?
Yeah, so I guess that brings us, we're doing this video for the second time. We try to do it outside, but she looked so Asian. And the audio wasn't good, the lighting was awful, so we're redoing it. So I feel like I had a little more of a genuineness out there, and now I'm like kind of rushing through it. But maybe that'll keep it more stimulating to you.
That's just because he has an issue with me being Asian.
No, it's alright. I like Asians. I love Asians. I'm just not sure sometimes how they look. She does it perfect, though. Close to perfect. Except
for the days that I look like a little Asian boy. Another radical honesty thing.
So I had this idea, and maybe others of you would agree, that why would you date someone that you're not going to potentially marry? It seems like kind of a waste of time to me. And obviously, Diana right here is marriage material. Just look at her. Take a look. So that I started off with that, now, and then my next idea of dating is why would I date someone like go on typical conventional dates, like going to the movies every Friday night and then dinner every Thursday night and maybe going to play golf every Wednesday? It just doesn't make sense because you're going to see this person in a role they're used to playing, especially if they're at home and living on their own. Me, on the other hand, I kind of look at life like Tim Ferriss does, trying to hack our way through it, using the 20-80 rule and being most efficient as possible. is that I wanted to find out if we're as good as a match as we potentially could be as fast as I could. So I think a road trip is the best way to learn about someone. When you're traveling with them to a new place they've never been, you're going to see how they react to new things, because if I'm going to potentially marry someone, marriage is going to be a new thing, hopefully, unless you're marrying someone that's been married before, and that's okay, but good luck. And then number two, you know, I'm going to potentially have a baby with this woman one day if I'm going to marry her, so those would be two huge new experiences for someone. So the closest I think I could get to that is by taking like a crazy road trip in a third world country in South America, which we had both never been to prior.
Not a fancy, relaxing vacation.
No.
South America on the road.
It was like a 5-week boot camp for dating.
Basically.
And it was a rocky start. I mean, we even officially started our relationship as a joke. I made a joke with, like, I'm not dating anyone, I can't date anyone else down, I'm not going to be passing my genes along with these Peruvians, so Diana, might as well date you. I might as well become official. And we both took it as a joke, and there was a lot of like fights and arguments and like disagreements and whatever you would expect on 5 weeks in a foreign country in the car. The first week we were even apart trying to get to each other through, wow, that was one heck of an adventure. Mm-hmm. But we'll save those details for, like, watch our previous videos if you want to see that. But long story short, it started out as a joke, but all of a sudden, I think with all the authentic and honest communication, we were finally not only very attracted to each other and liked a lot of things about each other, but we were finally we allowed ourselves to completely be ourselves around each other.
Yeah, and we saw each other in basically any situation you might come across for some reason. I think,
you just seem unsure of what you're saying. Like you're looking.
No, I'm just trying to find
the
the words. I'm just looking at you.
It's okay. You can look at me.
Now I don't want to look at you. We saw each other in every situation possible, and yes, I still sound nasal.
Hey, that's all right. It's okay. Come on, girl. Come on. It's all right. You're doing fine. And then what happened was, oh man. I think you basically I allowed you and you allowed me to fall in love with each other and ourselves while we're around each other.
Yeah.
I think she even wrote that in a letter to me that you, what was the line?
Bring out the best in me.
And that you love yourself, or that you love me because...
who I am when I'm with you.
Yeah, and I thought that was a super powerful idea, and I think it's true because I have this another thing about just relationships that for anyone that I'm trying to get close to, I would love for them to talk to me how they talk about me to their best friend. And you kind of mentioned when you were dating guys previously that
from my past, there's always these little things that you're just dying to tell, and you feel like you can't because your boyfriend, girlfriend might get upset, and then you call your girlfriend, you're like, oh, you're on the phone for an hour complaining about all these random things. And if you could just get over that and just tell your partner whatever is wrong or just whatever's on your mind, I think that would give you the opportunity to get a lot closer.
And I think that's kind of what you're experiencing for the first time here?
Yeah. I mean, I was not able to do that before. I would be like tiptoeing around all day.
Walking on eggshells, that's the worst thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's not how you want to spend the rest of your life with someone. You can't tell just a random joke or just a little thought. I mean, thoughts are not to be taken seriously, and I've learned that. Yeah,
I think we both learned at first you were also mentioning in the last video how the first step might be the hardest, like to finally be, let's use an example for it. We used this example earlier that I saw a girl at the bar the other day, and I just saw, all of a sudden I started having these thoughts that like I wanted that girl to do something to me sexually. And I told Diana about that. And it wasn't easy. I thought, in my head, I've built up this story that if I tell her this isn't happen, and all this isn't happen. I think that's what happens a lot with people that are in relationships where they keep secrets. And this is, 50% of marriages end in divorce or something close to that. And I think what happens is a guy or a girl has that thought and like, oh my gosh, I can never tell Diana about that. So they just keep the secret more and more. They become more and more distant, and all of a sudden they're more prone to acting on that thought. And all of a sudden they're having an affair, and you're either going to have to tell about the affair and the marriage is going to end, or you're not going to tell about the affair. And there's going to be this huge distance with this ability to connect with each other because you're keeping the secret. So instead, we're trying to encourage you to take that first step and being courageous enough to authentically communicate these little thoughts that you're having. Although you might not think they're a big deal, I think if they affect the other person, they should be spoken about.
Yeah, if you have that idea. But you're also saying something about how your thoughts are just thoughts and your actions are showing something.
Yeah. So I was saying that the more you reveal these thoughts, and the more, first of all, the more you reveal these really personal thoughts, you find out how universal they are. The more personal, the more universal. And I think what happens is that we've come to realize that our thoughts are not nearly as important as our actions. Because our thoughts are just a picture to our imagination, which is not real, where our actions are a picture to our intentions, our physical intentions, what we do on a daily basis. And I think Diana knows that throughout this process of what most would label as being in love, what we call being in love. I love Diana. I'm in love with Diana. I feel like, as crazy as I have these random thoughts, these sporadic thoughts that come up every once in a while that I admit to her, for the most part, she can see where my attention is. My attention is on her. I want to eat with her. I want to hug her. I want to kiss her. I was just talking about how my friend, he had a Facebook status this morning, TC, my boy, about how he was cuddling with someone, and he just wants to. Comes to a point where he keeps bringing her closer and closer to cuddle with her, but he realized you can't be any closer. And I feel that a lot with Diana. I just want to hold her closer and closer and love her and kiss her and talk to her and work out with her. I want to do everything with her. It's like the only thing I can see. And I think she realizes that. So it helps it helps her realize how thoughts are not to be taken seriously. What's to be taken seriously are your actions.
Yeah, and I was also saying how I think for the most part it's so difficult to tell your partner that you're having these thoughts because the other one might get jealous. And really there is nothing to get jealous about. And I know that. I used to be really jealous. And it's not fun. But, I mean, when you start realizing that it's just thoughts, and if your boyfriend are telling you that he has some thoughts about a random girl doing sexual stuff to him, then so what? I bet you have crazy thoughts about making out with another guy too. I mean, and people don't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first admit to becoming aware or more of your picture-in-pictures or smaller thoughts is by admitting them. And I think admitting them can be super powerful because it creates this space of honesty. And on the other end of the spectrum, what possibly does happen is that people keep those thoughts from each other. And I've already went over this, so cutting myself off there. I was about to repeat an old story. I'm really trying to race through this because this is like pretty heavy, deep stuff, and I want it to be as stimulating as possible for the people watching. I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on myself. The same way I may be putting too much pressure on this relationship to be really perfect, which is what we were trying to get at. One of the reasons we wanted to do this video was to show that what a roller coaster life is, or what a roller coaster your emotions are, or your relationships are. Because just the last few days, even all this like blissfully being in love and just like all I can see and care about is Diana for about a month straight. All of a sudden, the last few days, I felt like a little bit of a fading of interest. And it scared me because I'm putting so much pressure on this relationship. And I could have either the more I held that in, the more I tried to withhold that, the greater it became. I found out through experience and what I've studied that what you resist persists. So instead of trying to resist it, I talked to Diana about it. I spoke to my dad. And Diana got sad. Diana cried and it made me want to cry. And it was another empathetic experience. Everything's not rainbow and butterflies, and this is what we're trying to get at. Just try to ride the experience of life, experience everything, rather than trying to only experience certain things, because that's not what life is like. And I even talked to our dad about it yesterday. My dad's been married for like 35 years, I think.
Yeah. Something
close to it, and I mean, I'm 27, maybe 30 years. And about as ideal of the marriage as you would probably expect, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've lived with our family for over a month now.
Yeah.
4 kids, beautiful family. I asked my dad, I'm like, so I'm expressing to my dad about these doubts and thoughts I'm having, and surprise to me, he was like, oh, well, yeah, of course, I have doubts every day. I'm like, what do you mean you have 4 kids, you've been married this long? He's like, yeah. He's like, this is a journey, Daniel. This is not something that, and what I realized was what's most personal is actually universal. And just because we don't talk about these things doesn't mean they don't exist. So we're trying to encourage you to find someone you can create this authentic context with, whether it's watching this video together, and seeing this, and maybe this will be a seed that's planted, or maybe reading the book Radical Honesty, or coming to one of our retreats, whatever it may take.
And I want to know, what is your biggest struggle in your relationship, if you're in one?
Yeah, and is this video just helping us talk about things, or is it helping y'all? Is this boring as crap, or are you getting something out of this? Are we just being super redundant? What do you think? Comment below. Let us know. I mean, for more authenticity, maybe we can just demonstrate is that, yeah, we just have these conversations day in and day out, and I think because we're willing to experience those low times of doubts and fears and crying, and that it makes the times when we're feeling good and happy that much greater. Yeah. I think there's like an awareness spectrum that my brother talks about from that book from Alan Watts about the wisdom of insecurity, that people that increase their awareness through practices such as these, they are definitely more prone to lows, but they will get to experience highs that someone else would never get to experience. And I'm encouraging you. It's better. Those highs are worth it.
Just take the first step and say something you think might hurt the other one, but experiment with it. And I'm pretty sure it will bring you a lot closer. And if not, if it ends up burning that bridge, then, well, you just find another bridge. You just let the bridges you burn light your way. And I think, did we talk about the courageous of the first step yet, or no? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think she brings up a great point about the courageousness to take that first step. And I'll quote, since it's Martin Luther King Day, our boy, MLK, I think it was him that kind of alluded to the idea that it takes faith to take that first step. But once you take that first step, then you can see the rest of the staircase, and the subsequent steps are much easier. Yeah. So I think she makes a very valid point to just have the faith to take that first step, and it'll be worth it. It might be scary, that first one, but then you can see the fight that's worth fighting for. It's amazing. If you're having trouble with that, just come to one of the RawSistahs retreats. Should be coming to pro. Anything can happen in 2 days, I'll tell you. Yeah. And instead of, just to let you in on a little more of my thoughts, like, I can't tell what I'm repeating or not because we're doing this video for the second time. I know I've repeated that a couple times. But, Diana being from Denmark and her having the, her visa is eventually running out, and us not having sexual intercourse, or me, trying not to have sexual intercourse until I'm married, I've had these thoughts about, like, maybe marriage would just make everything better. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm putting so much pressure on this relationship between Diana and I. Because we've only been together for about 3 months. 4 months. Almost 4 months. Yeah. But a lot can happen in those 3 or 4 months. I mean, this is a relationship on speed. Yeah, I beg to say that I don't know if a relationship can move this fast, ever. With that road trip to Peru, with the 2 Radical Honesty retreats now. Yeah. 1 in Costa Rica, a week long. A week long, wow. Yeah. And then her living at home with my family, my parents. This is the way to get to know someone real quickly. Did I talk about that in this video? I don't think so. I didn't talk about the best way to date someone? That I'm not sure. I think I did. Oh, yeah, you did that, okay. But not about me staying here. Oh, yeah. That was just another dating routine on steroids. Hey, get them to live with your family. That's important. Take a road trip with them. That's important. Let every thought that comes up come out. That's important. I think that the more you try to burn the bridge, the better it actually is. Yeah. If you keep in mind that, oh, I don't really want this, I just want to say whatever is on my mind and then see where it goes from there. I think that's a lot better than thinking, oh, no, I have to make this perfect. I can't say this because then maybe she won't like me, and I can't do this because then this is wrong. Just keep in mind that you want to try and burn that bridge. Laugh out loud, live out loud. She brings up a good point. Mm-hmm. Just do what you want, and that person can fall in love with who you are. Or the other scenario is you can try to paint a pretty picture, put all this stress on your life of trying to be someone that you're not, and that person might start liking what that is, and then you'll have to play that role for the rest of your life. Big problems. No, then you play the role for 6 months, and then it crashes. 50% of you guys know this. Yeah. And then even I've said it might be argued that a lot of that 50% that are still together might not even be happy. So we're just trying to be courageous enough and trying to bring you with us to experiment with this idea of just having a radical relationship, a real raw relationship, and we're going to keep you in the loop
some of the steps of the way. And maybe this will help you in some way. Maybe it's helping us, helping you, helping us.
Yeah, because I actually do believe that about 80% of whatever might be wrong in a relationship is lack of real communication and jealousy issues. I think that's basically what it all comes down to. And if you're just honest, and if you just open your mouth and you talk about all those picture-in-picture thoughts, then it might all go away.
Yeah, and I think enlightenment, we touch on this, Prozon touches this on our retreat, might be something along the lines of being able to be aware of your thoughts and then being able to laugh at them. And that's what we're trying to get you to do. We're trying to get you to just be... The imagination is always going to exist. Your mind is going to exist as long as you live. The mind was originally evolved to help you survive, to help the body survive. Now, what's happening with... There's not an issue of survival anymore. Now we're being used by our minds, and it's actually killing some people. Hence... But what we're trying to do is for you to lose this mind without hurting it, being able to laugh at those thoughts and come to your senses and focus on the person's attention, what they're doing on a daily basis, their actions. Let their actions speak louder than words. You've heard that actions speak louder than words. Well, let other people's actions speak louder than words. Words are just an expression of thoughts. Actions, your attention is the expression of your intention. And I love this girl. And although I have doubts and thoughts, and I'm going to keep letting her know about them, and we're going to see what happens. So far, it's been a beautiful thing.
I'll just laugh at him. Tell him to...
Tell him to...
I can't say that.
Yeah, there's lots more behind this whole thing. We try to make this as efficient as possible. Let us know if it helped you in any way.
Yeah, and let us know what you want to know. If there's anything. If not, then just tell us to shut up.
Yeah. And I don't know, just to reiterate the importance of this, I just think it's so... I don't think we're being as efficient as possible with expressing the main powerful points in this video. We could be, but maybe some more practice will make perfect. Or perfect practice makes perfect. That was a lot of fast stuff right there. But what I really want you guys to realize is that... I'm losing myself in my own thoughts. See all these pictures and pictures that are getting... Alright, so... Nah, we'll save that for next time.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got out of it what you needed.
Put a comment and do something. Go practice it.
Just take the courageous step of being authentic, and we'll leave it with the idea and the quote from Fritz Perls, who will say it better than I did. That I'm not in this world, or we're not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you're not in this world to live up to ours. And I'm not in this world to live up to hers, and she's not in this world to live up to mine. And if we find each other, it's beautiful, and it has been beautiful. And if not, then it can't be helped. So go find someone that you that loves you for who you actually are, and not someone you're pretending to be. Because that can be a powerful relationship that adds value to your life rather than taking it away. We love you.
Exactly. Cut.
Let's hope the camera's on. Oh, it is.